Hi there, Alisa. My name is Ellen. I'll be correcting these essays for you. It's nice to see that you've been working hard and writing for your IELTS preparation. Let's see what you did in this particular set, okay? So the first essay is that schools have to be more entertaining. Let's see what you wrote. The education system in schools has changed significantly in the last century here. Nowadays, there are no conventional rules on how to teach children what is right and what is wrong for their ability to absorb information. Education might depend on a country or even on private school rules. Okay, I liked the start of it, and I even liked part of the second sentence, but you didn't really answer the question, which is really important for task achievement. If you look at the band descriptors, under task achievement for band 7, it says presents a clear position throughout the essay. Throughout means from the beginning. Therefore, it's very important that your position is clear from the start, meaning your introduction. I didn't get that here. You talked about the change, you talked about right and wrong, you talked about their abilities, but you didn't really say whether schools should be more entertaining or not. Okay? And you really need to. So that for me, and this too I didn't really understand. What is wrong for their ability to, what is right and what is wrong for their ability to absorb information? This was a little awkward, so I would have rephrased that. But this for me was kind of getting off topic and definitely not answering the question. Okay? So let's move on. On the one hand, giving knowledge to children. We never write the word kids in IELTS because it's informal and you want to avoid this language. So, on the one hand, giving knowledge to children has been the primary purpose of schools for many years. Therefore, children were not able to be a part of discussion and an active participant in the educational process. They could be only a passive listener and be as quiet as possible. For instance, the majority of schools in Russia teach children in this conservative method. With or in this conservative way or with this conservative method. It works, although it is not as fascinating as it could be. Even more, many pupils lose their interest in education for the reason that they think it is incredibly boring. All right, let's talk about this paragraph a little bit. I want to remind you what the question is about. It's about some people think that schools should be more entertaining. Others think it should just educate. So I'm assuming here that you are arguing this side that education should just be, or school should be just education. Okay, so if that's what you're actually arguing here, let's see how you did with that. So giving knowledge, yes, kids weren't part of the discussion. Okay, they were just passive listeners. This is what happens in Russia. It works, but kids think it's boring. Okay, so I guess it's okay. It does feel a little underdeveloped. I think there was more you could have said in a number of different areas, but on the whole, it's on topic. All right, let's move on. On the other hand, the world has changed. Get rid of this been here. More technologies are used in education, as well as scientists now are more interested in researching the most effective ways to teach people. I don't know about this as well as. It feels a little strange to me. Maybe just an and would have been better here, really. Recent studies show that children learn more effectively when they enjoy the process. In other words, when teachers use gamification and involve students in the educational process, trying to entertain them too, it works much better than being a one and only orator in a classroom. For example, the education system in Finland has more freedom by engaging children in games. Finnish, that should be two N's, tutors inspire children. What is more, children, or you could have said students, start to love the learning process and they do not have negative impressions as a result. Full stop here. New sentence. As a result, they have an opportunity to continue self-education during not all their lives, during their whole lives, which is crucial for their future adult life. Okay, fine. To sum up, founding compromise, I think you mean finding compromise between traditional entertainment methods of education might be the best, although it sounds slightly naive. So I personally believe schools should be more entertaining. All right, it's fine. I think that for your first essay, this is good. You're on topic. You haven't gone off topic, which I have to tell you happens a lot. You didn't. So it felt on topic, although there were some areas that I thought you should have developed a little more. On the whole, I thought it was nice. A little bit of awkwardness. I think honestly the biggest thing for me, if there was one thing I wanted you to fix, it would be developing more, going to a little more depth. You can see that this initial paragraph is really rather short. This is comparatively larger, so I would have liked to see more on this issue. Now let's take a look at the second essay, doing an endurable activity. Here's what you wrote. In the modern world, which is constantly changing, there is a complex issue. How is it better to teach a new generation? Is there a right approach to gain education purposes for children? I will discuss this topic in this essay and analyze some examples. All right, now there are a few things that I want to talk about in this introduction. First of all, the punctuation is wrong here. This should have been a colon, so the two dots, one on top of each other. In the modern world, which is constantly changing, there is a complex issue. ... How is it better to teach a new generation? Doesn't make sense either. How about what is the best way to teach a new generation? And then that should be a question. Now, the problem with what you wrote here is that you don't mention reading at all. You didn't really rephrase the topic. It's almost as if you're talking about a different topic. It's as if you're talking about what's the best method for children's education. You needed to rephrase this a little more faithfully. Okay, so instead you could have said something like, in the modern world, which is constantly changing, there is a complex issue of whether reading or other activities are better for children's overall development. Okay, that would have been a better way to say this. Now, the other thing I will say that I said about your other essay is this here. It's not enough to just say that you're going to discuss it and provide examples, but you actually have to answer the question, to what extent do you agree? So do you think reading is better, or do you think that other activities are better? You have to answer that question, okay? So moving on. Firstly, I strongly believe that there is no There is no one way. This is awkward. Firstly, I strongly believe that there is not only one way that children are able to develop their talents. So I'm 100% sure that reading can be as endurable as any other active approaches to education. For instance, I have, because we don't use contractions in IELTS, I have read an article written by a teacher from the USA which says, not it, many children struggle with reading until they find something that is truly fascinating to read. And then not only can nothing distract them from the material, but they start to love the process of reading. Also, there are two ways of reading for fiction and nonfiction literature, and it is important to teach children how to work with more formal reading exercises. On top of that, nowadays when children have access to all information in their gadgets, they should learn how to handle this enormous amount of data, and it would help if they know how to read right and find fast what they need without wasting time. Okay, remember that we're talking about skills. It's really important when you're doing these essays to underline or highlight the main words here. We're talking about better skills and creativity. So I am okay with the fact that you decided to talk about reading here. I think it's actually a great idea to talk about reading here, but it's also important how to talk about the skills they develop from reading. I feel like you kind of ignored that, and instead you just talked about the positives about reading. That's far too general. They've asked you something really much more specific. Better skills and creativity. So address how reading develops creativity. Address how reading develops skills. Okay? You said it was enjoyable. You said that they start to love reading once they get into it and find something like. So a lot of this is really off topic. You really need to focus your writing to make sure that you are addressing only the issue that is being talked about in the prompt and nothing else. Okay? Also, I want to encourage you, since this is your first set of essays, I want to encourage you to try writing within the template. I'm finding here in this essay specifically, but also in the previous one, you're not really following the model of the template. You will find that if you do that, it really kind of forces you to stay on topic. It doesn't really give you a lot of leeway to get off topic. And so I want you to try writing with the template. And then as you get more comfortable and as you get more familiar, you can, then kind of deviate from it a little bit. But at this point, I really want to see you using it, okay? I think it will help avoid something like this. Let's look at the next paragraph. However, practice is always essential, and children enjoy it significantly more than only the reading approach. Statistically, in my primary schools, you need some commas here. Comma, statistically, in my primary school, comma, pupils pass tests with higher scores when they do some activities. They remember what and they remember what they learn better. For example, going to a museum where you're able to see what you read about in your course book, or visiting workshops there and being involved in interactive activities might introduce children to learning materials in a fun way. Again, there's nothing about skills. There's nothing about creativity. So here, again, it feels like you're talking just about what is better for development, in general development. Or what is better for children, just reading or doing other activities. So an examiner is going to say definitely that you weren't 100% on topic here, and that's going to affect your task achievement score. Let's see. Also, you haven't used the template where you need to have a conclusive statement as well, which kind of links back to your first sentence in your paragraph. So to conclude, I reckon no matter which activities children do, comma, it should be enjoyable, including reading, at least, full stop. Adults might try to make it this way for pupils. I don't understand this, and it is our responsibility. No, that's a little awkward. I kind of feel like I know what you're trying to say, but I can't really rephrase it, and I'm having a hard time trying to pinpoint where it's awkward. I mean, here, this at least adults might try to make it this way. That's a little strange. So try to make it a little more natural sounding English. Okay. All right. So you're on the right track. I can see a lot of really strong elements in your writing. A lot of it did read really naturally, and so that's wonderful. That's great. But there is awkwardness in a number of places. But for me, I really want you to think about what we talked about in terms of the template, in terms of coherence, in terms of cohesion, and in terms of task achievement. All right. These are test taking skills, and not so much language skills, really, which is great, okay, because these are a lot easier to kind of fix quickly. So go ahead and correct these essays based on the feedback you got today, and send those to us. With your corrected essays, send us, of course, a new set of essays, taking all this feedback and the stuff you're learning from the course into consideration. The other thing I need you to do is write an error correction list where you write down the mistakes and the corrected version next to those mistakes. That's something you want to add to with each essay correction you get back, okay? So I'll be waiting for all of this in the next day or so. Good luck, and I'm looking forward to your next essays.